Welcome to episode 194 of Sports Geek. On this week's episode, I jump into a giant ball pit to chat with AFLW stars from the Western Bulldogs.
Welcome to Sports Geek, the podcast built for sports digital and sports business professionals. And now, here's your host who is humbled by your tweets, Sean Callanan.
Thanks, DJ Joel. Yes, my name is Sean Callanan, and I am humbled by your tweets. You can send them to me at Sean Callanan or at Sports Geek if you are listening to, and please give a shout out to my podcast guests. If you're listening to an episode, please send them a tweet and say thanks to them. As always, if you're a listener to the podcast, you're a friend of mine, and I'm always happy to help out my podcast friends. You can do so by just hitting me up on sportsgeekhq.com/phone call, and happy to have a chat to see how we can help you in some way. This episode I recorded earlier this week at Federation Square here in Melbourne as part of the C2 Melbourne launch that's going to be happening here in Melbourne October 17 to 19. I'll tell you a little bit more about C2 later, but one of their innovations are their C2 labs. And so they provide experiential learning pieces to get people together, have deep and meaningful conversations. And so one of the ones that they have is a giant ball pool or a ball pit, because it's probably easy to say. And so I think there was about 30,000. We didn't quite get the official count of the number of balls that were in the pit. And so this week I jumped into a ball pit to chat with a couple of AFLW stars. So the AFLW is the AFL Women's League. You might have heard us talk about that on previous episodes with Tanya Galena at Hawthorn talking about their entry into AFLW, hopefully, eventually, in their VFLW team. And also chatting with Darren Birch and talking about the success of Season 1 of the AFLW as we preluded to Season 2. And so the Western Bulldogs, their women's team, won AFLW Season 2. And so I was lucky enough to jump in the ball pit with Bonnie Toogood and Brooke Lochland and talk about their journey into AFLW and where they came from and some of the challenges of moving with a sport that's moving into professionalism. So here is my chat in the C2 ball pool with Bonnie Toogood and Brooke Lochland. Okay, hopefully this is recording. I'm currently standing in a ball pit at C2 Melbourne launch. And I don't know if we sit or we stand. I'm here with a couple of premiership footballers from the AFLW team from the Western Bulldogs. Bonnie.
Hello.
Bonnie Toogood and Brooke Lochland.
Yes. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Well, it's just a weird situation. Let's sit into the ball pit.
The ball pit.
So here we are.
Actually, that's kind of comfy.
It is quite.
I'm going to give that. No, you're going to disappear.
So we have got one mic for you two. So make sure you're sharing. So we do hear.
Sharing is caring.
So we're here for C2 and C2 Melbourne and talking about having deep dive discussions. So we're currently doing this in a ball pit and we're trying to get estimates of how many of these plastic balls are here. We think there's about 30,000. But
they're claiming.
I think they bought 55,000, and this is a half a pit.
I think half a pit.
So for October, when C2 Melbourne is here,
yes,
they'll have the full blown pit.
So that is 55,000.
That is 55,000. Wow. So
I hope we get invited back for the full pit.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
Yeah, and I think it's been a bit of a workout. Do you think they might bring in ball pit work to work the quads and knee to get the strength in the knees?
You know what? We might have to ask a few of our ACL girls. Maybe this is a good building exercise for their quads and hamstrings because I am sweaty.
It's been a bit of a workout.
So on that, wanted to catch up. It's good to catch up here, and the whole idea of these activations are to have deep dive discussions. So want to talk to you a little bit about AFLW. I guess congratulations first of all, premiership players in season 2 of AFLW. Do you want to just first of all, we'll start with you, Brooke, give us a little bit of background in your footy story?
Yeah, I guess mine's a little bit different to most girls. I'm a bit of a similar situation to Bonnie here, where we've come from a different sport. So I've been playing for, I think it's 3 years now.
Yep.
I come from an unusual sport of speed skating. So I did that for a really long time, and I lived overseas, came back, and then I just found footy and fell in love with it, and here we are, won a premiership.
And so what do you think from a skills transfer point of view? Like, you're obviously an athlete and high performance and those kind of things.
Yep.
How do you think that helped you coming back and finding footy?
Yeah, I think so. That side of it, the elite environment and, being a professional at a high level in sport, you're used to that side of things. But I guess the skills took a while. I'm still learning that side of it, and also the game, really. So still so much to learn. I think no matter how long you play for, you're always learning. But as quite a new group, we did pretty well together and gelled well, and got the medal at the end of the day.
Congratulations. Bonnie, what about yourself? What was your background into AFLW?
So I'm like Brooke and coming from another sport of netball.
Yep.
So I did start as a young kid playing up to under 14s when you can't play with the boys anymore. And I was like, all right, I don't really see a career path here. I was just doing it for fun, and went to netball and basketball, and now come back. I played a bit through school, but that was just GSV, so it wasn't very highly skilled. But somehow got picked up by the doggies, and now we're here playing my first 8 games of footy, and we did it.
Yeah, and so the people are listening, so I've got listeners both here in Australia but also in the States, to give them a bit of background. The AFLW, the AFL Women, started 2 seasons ago, and what you identified there was no pathway for girls. You could play up to 12, 13, 14, and then there was no sport for you to play. So a lot of girls were lost to AFL and went and played other sports, whether they be basketball or netball. Speed skating in some instances. And now, like, the development, and it must be great for you guys, is, we're here at C2 talking about disruptors and pioneers, to be sort of helping form those pathways again, and helping girls of 8, 9, 10 play Auskick, but then say, oh, this is where I can go. I can play AFLW.
Yeah, 100%. That's why it is so exciting, the AFLW, and especially coming now out of season 2 and looking for season 3, that it can only build from here, because it's so raw, and the competition is so raw, because we are girls that haven't been playing since Auskick, but in 4 or 5 years we're going to have girls that have been playing since they were 6 years old, and the skill levels can only go up from here, which is so exciting for us, and for us to keep learning, and that's what it is. And that's, for me personally, that's why I'm so excited about it, is because where can we go? How much does Australia love footy? Yep. And to have more of it, and to watch women play it, it's awesome.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to sort of tie in with, like, what C2 is. So it's meant to be business and creativity, right? So how do you bring, fresh ideas and creativity? And it's something that's, like, it's a bit of a talking point both in the AFLW and even if in the AFL men's, as the women at Out of Sanctum like to call it, like the balance between structure and rules and creativity and flair. Like, you've got coaches that say, we want you to set up this way, and set up a zone and those kind of things, as well as, hey, Brooke, show some flair, take someone on, take on the game. Yep. How do you guys balance that, taking all these rules, but then also trying to show some flair in the game?
Yeah, I think it's still at a point in our competition where it is new. Yep. And we're still learning what it is ourselves, but we are creating it. And I think that's a really good thing for us as a competition, is that what you're seeing is what we're creating. And, there's always going to be, rule changes here and there. But, we're doing it so that we can make the game better. And for the people, especially the people watching at home, we want it to be exciting. And, and we've got other factors that it's 15-minute quarters. Yep. We are playing on grounds that could be windy and things like that. Yep. So, the scoreboard, I know that's been spoken about a lot in the media, that it's low scoring, but, people watching at home don't know these types of things.
But the thing is, and it was a big news story when your season was on, and so your season January through to March, effectively for the AFL Women's. But it's the same conversations happening with the AFL with the men's at the minute, with the lowest scoring rounds in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. It's a cycles thing, and it's a bit of a structure thing. I was talking to you girls before, and Bonnie, I want to ask you, like, here we are doing, sitting in a ball pit, and it brings people together, and you start having these cool conversations. Now, you've had 2 seasons of AFLW, and they've been really quick getting up and running and getting these teams together. Yep. Has there been anything that has helped the Bulldogs sort of get together as a team? The big thing is cohesion at the minute, and how do you be cohesive? Is there any particular tasks or outings that you do to start becoming better teammates?
I think something that we really wanted to develop and create at the Bulldogs was culture. Yep. And we've heard from other premiership teams like the Tigers and that culture is really important. So for us, that was a really main focus. Our pre-season camp was a little different to the normal ones you hear about, where it's just a boot camp and we're training really hard, sweating bullets and all of that. But we took a different approach and really got to know each other on a 2-day camp where we got vulnerable, just to speed up the process of getting to know one another, because it is so short. It is a 6-month season, 6 months period where you've got to get to know people real quick and be able to get that bond off the field and be able to transfer that onto the field. And that's what we thought was really important for us. And we did do a lot of brunches, because that is a very AFLW thing to do, is to get brunch. Yep. So we did a lot of that. Do you
have your own brunch club?
Oh, yeah, we're the Doggies Brunch Club. St. Rose Cafe, that's where we go. But, yeah, just to get to know each other, I think that's really important. And on field, that's what we showed, is that everyone wanted it and everyone wanted to have each other's back and put our bodies on the line for the team. So that's definitely a huge factor for us Doggies that helped us win the premiership, I guess.
I think the other thing is you're a media and comms student, I believe. Now that AFLW's out, there's all these new opportunities, that are presenting themselves, but in the media space, whether it be press opportunities in ball pits or working with sponsors, or doing things. Yep. Have you found that growth in that sort of space, as whether it be traditional media or things that we do around digital and social media? Have you guys found that growth over the last 18 months?
I think for Brooke and I, we've really given the media a shot, where we've signed up for a lot of things, and I think it's fantastic to give us athletes a voice as well. So I've been on a few Facebook things with the AFL and never knew I was going to be in a ball pit doing an interview, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's been awesome just to be able to share our stories and share our opinions on things, and it helps the game at the end of the day. For fans to see and get to know us, I think, is really important. So, and we'll only grow the game as well. So I think it's been awesome that we can get involved with it, just like the guys do.
And Brooke, so you've been been an athlete for a long while, and not in a high paying sport. From a speed skating, it's a hard slog, and now you're coming to a sport that's trying to find its feet from a professionalism point of view.
Yes.
So. Because it's not, everyone sees you guys out there playing and think, oh, they're having a great time, and they're going it's still, you're only at the starting point of this journey of being a fully professional sport, because, you're not fully professional like the AFL men's are. Yeah. How important is to keep making strides in that space with working with sponsors and, the stuff that the Players Association is doing to fight for your rights?
Yeah, so we, as you said, we are part-time athletes, so there is a lot to juggle. You've got, your full-time job, and then you come to the club straight after work, and then you're there until, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you do it again the next day. So it does get tiring, but at the same time, we didn't know that this was going to happen. And for most of us, when we started footy, it was just for the love of it, and it still is for the love of it. The pay and things like that, it's only going to go up, and we know that. It's going to take time, but we just want the audience to love what we're doing, and we really are doing everything that we can as athletes to put on a show and grow the sport. And
I think that, kudos to you as the players. I think that's been one of the key successes of AFLW. One, the accessibility of the players from a media point of view, but also to the fans. Because I think, if we go talk to people at AFL House, like they've been, thrilled with the success, but they did not realise, the audience, but the fans that came out of the woodwork that are like, oh, this is a game I want to follow, and I'm following the stories of the players and I'm following them online, and they feel a bit of a deeper connection.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. We've got a different following to the men's, which is great. We are AFL, but we are our own competition, and as I said before, we're creating it the way we want to. And to see last year the lockout in round one, Collingwood Carlton. I know that I was watching from home, and I had to play the next day, and I was just so excited for the people to be excited to watch us. So.
Well, thank you very much. I know you've got a VFLW season ahead.
Yes.
Hopefully you don't have to do a recovery period after being in the ball pit. But best of luck for the VFL season, and best of luck for AFLW season 3.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Download our Facebook campaigns guide at sportsgeekhq.com/FB campaigns.
Thanks, DJ Joel. Yes. Thanks again to Bonnie and Brooke from the Western Bulldogs. You can check them out on the old Twitter. BulldogsW is their handle, and all the other links to Bonnie and Brooke are in the show notes. And if you've been following my social feed, you might have seen some tweets from that. And if you go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/Sean Callanan Speaks, you'll see a little bit of a video recap that I built on the day using a really cool tool that I've just found recently. It's an Android video editing tool called Vlogit, VLOGIT, that enabling to quickly put all that together. So if you're someone that is a content producer and wants to play around with a mobile video production tool, I highly recommend Vlogit. A little bit more about C2. C2 Melbourne, as I said earlier, 17th to the 19th of October. They will be absolutely transforming the Melbourne Convention Centre here. And, they do talk about it being the conference that is reinventing how people network. And so as someone who's now has been part of the C2 Labs twice, being part of the ball pool, which was a fun experience, and then in the preview event last year, going up in the trapeze where they suspend 4 to 6 people in some chairs, and then they suspend you 20 feet above the roof. You're really forced to have a deep and meaningful conversation with no phones and only 5 people in front of you. So it's a really good way to connect and have conversations with interesting people. They do a lot of really good work around connecting the right people with brain dates and things like that. So if you're in Melbourne or in Sydney or want to come down to Melbourne, it'll be a great way to see how business and creativity work together. And what I'm really interested in the Melbourne track, in the Melbourne conference, is the sports and fan track. And so how we can take some of the best practices that I see daily in the sports space, with Melbourne being a world leader, and how businesses can adopt some of the things that sports do really well, engaging with their fans, getting large groups of fans to follow online, all of those things. That sharing will happen as well. But what I'm really excited about, in a couple of weeks' time, I'll actually be going to C2 Montreal. So this will be the 7th time that C2 Montreal is being hosted. It'll be the 23rd to the 25th. If you're a listener and you're going to C2 Montreal, please let me know. I'd love to catch up. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think 6,500 people are attending C2 Montreal, so it will be crazy. And I'm really just going to, like I entered into the ball pit, I'm just going to throw myself into it and see what opportunities come from it. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Snoop Dogg. He's one of the keynote speakers. But for mine, it is those networking events and the C2 Labs and the brain dates that get set up as part of the way they run C2 is something that I'm really, really looking forward to. So I'll be in San Francisco prior to Montreal, catching up with a few people, having a few meetings, and maybe catching a game or two if the schedule allows, and then heading to Montreal May 23 to 25. So if you're in that part of the world, I'd love to catch up with you. Just for a wrap up, just some things that we've been doing recently in Sports Geek that might be a way that we can help you. One of the things that we're doing at the moment is working with a few different organisations around professional development for athletes and helping them understand how they can best use digital. So I've done this in a few different ways. That's what multiple means. I've done sort of group classes and sessions with whole teams. I've done smaller mentoring groups with like leadership groups that want to understand digital a little bit better, and then done one-on-one. And so what we're doing is adapting some of that training that I do, and also building out a little bit of train the trainer. So to help your staff that might be mentoring or helping athletes, give them some guidance on how they should go about at least doing that first level training for athletes, how they should protect themselves online, what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing, what platforms make sense, and providing them some support in that space. So if that's something that's of interest to you, if you want to have digitally savvy athletes, I'm a really big proponent that athletes can provide a really important channel for sports teams and leagues, and so digitally savvy athletes can provide that. So I think it's something that's an ongoing education process, especially as the platforms continue to change and evolve. And so with that process and with that program, we both build out the collateral and help the trainers train them, but also keep them up to date and provide them with support on how they might do it. Lastly, if you are in Queensland, I'm recording this just before flying up to Mackay. So that would have happened last Friday, and so hopefully it all went well. But I've got a couple more dates, May 17 in Brisbane and May 31 in Cairns. So either side of C2 Montreal. If you do want to go to that and you live in those parts of the world and you work in sport in any capacity, whether it's being a volunteer of a local club or running a venue or a team, you can simply go to sportsgeekhq.com/Queensland 2018 and hear about my keynote about data and marketing and how you can optimize your marketing performance and campaigns around understanding data better. That's it from me. Hopefully I will see you in my travels, whether they be to Queensland or Montreal, or my future trips to the US in June and July. But if not, you can always get me via email, Sean@sportsgeekhq.com, or via the Twitter at Sean Callanan, or you can do what a lot of people are now doing, and you can join and connect with me and with a stack of smart people, including a lot of my guests on this podcast, in Sports Biz Slack. And you can go to sportsgeekhq.com/Slack to join there. Until next episode, my name is Sean Callanan, and you've been listening to Sports Geek.
Join over 1,000 sports business executives in Sports Biz Slack. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/Slack. Please share your fave episodes of Sports Geek on LinkedIn. Be sure to tag Sean Callanan.
Go to sportsgeekhq.com for more sports digital marketing resources.
Want to chat with Sean? Book a time for a call. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call.